All right. Hello, everyone. Uh, we should be live now. I see people joining. Can you hear me well? I'm not sure if this microphone is working correctly. All right. Somebody says yes. Somebody says yes. Okay. Very cool. Um, nice. All right. So, okay. So I've been kind of rushing this thing today. I've had a ton of work, and I was literally just preparing the stream until 5 minutes ago. So hoping everything's gonna be okay. I prepared the slides to show you some cool new stuff. For those that are new, you know, welcome to the Hangout stream. Oh, wait, I need to. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, welcome to the Hangout stream. This is just kind of like a casual chit chatty vibe kind of going on. I'm gonna basically go through some slides, show you some of the stuff that we've been working on. Show you some miniature previews, some concept art previews, and at the end, there's going to be a Q&A session. So for the Q&A session, the questions are asked before the stream starts. So basically, at the end of the stream, I'm going to give you a link where you can post your questions for the next stream. But this questions for this stream were already asked, basically. I will try to pay attention to the chat and see if I can answer some questions here and there about the specific topics that I'm talking about in the moment. But yes, if you have bigger questions, ask them at the end in the link that I will give you. The idea is that basically I will take a look then at those questions and kind of like filter out and make sure that um, you know make sure that there's no repeat questions and stuff. I had no time to actually filter questions today, so I'm just kind of gonna go through them once we get to them. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. So okay, cool. Let's I see more people are joining. Very nice. Yeah, let's get to it. Let me just dive let me just dive into it with whatever we got going on here. Okay, so okay, first thing. So the people from Tabletop Freibeuter, which is a German wargaming club and general tabletop gaming club, I think. They have brought OPR to the Hamburg Taktika, which is one of like the biggest wargaming things conventions in Germany or even in Europe, I think, maybe the world, who knows. And yeah, and they created this awesome four-sided table that's sort of like a diorama setup, and I wanted to showcase it for you guys to check out because they did an amazing job. So it's four sides to this diorama. All of it is like OPR themed. All the minis are OPR themed, and it's very cool. There is this was my favorite one. There's like a side that's dedicated to the Eternal Dynasty. You can see like all the terrain here. I'm not sure about the gates in particular, but all of the terrain here is OPR terrain. The minis are OPR minis, which I thought was very cool. You can see like a big Oni Walker here. Yeah, it's very cool to see people like representing OPR conventions, and I've heard that there's more people going to conventions, and we are hoping to start attending conventions. Hopefully this year, maybe next year. I don't know. Things are always well. So let's see. But yeah, very cool to see OPR conventions. So yeah, there was a quarter dedicated to the Eternal Dynasty. There was a quarter dedicated to the Saurians. Although here, I think the walls are not maybe OPR. I don't know. Whatever. It looked awesome. Then there was a side. Then there was a side for the Jackals. Very cool desert terrain with like a crashed ship really fitting in with their lore, and some cool jackals like running around. And then finally there was a side for Duchess of Vinci, this sort of like Venice themed side with lots of buildings. These are actually not OPR buildings. I'm only showing very few pictures here. I recommend that you go to the Instagram of Tabletop Freibeuter. I suppose it's at Tabletop Freibeuter. And check them out there. They have lots of pictures from the convention. And I think even if you go just like on Instagram, you just write like hashtag one page rules, or maybe even hashtag Hamburg Taktika, something like that, you can see lots of pictures from the convention. So that's really cool. Somebody said, didn't realize there was OPR terrain. I assume it's in the Patreon as well. Yes, it's in the Patreon as well. There is terrain every month, and it's pretty cool. Okay, cool. So that's OPR at a convention. Looks awesome. Yeah, I'm hoping we have some ideas for conventions. Whatever. Well, when I'll know more, I'll let you know more. Okay, next up. Okay, new website progress. So there's a couple of things that have been postponed. So last stream I talked to you about how I was hoping to have the new website ready by mid to end of February. Gonna be honest, at this rate, not really sure if it's going to happen. But we are getting there. We are getting there. So we've been doing a lot of testing internally and just kind of like trying to break the site and see what works, what doesn't work. But yeah, overall this site is looking really cool. The MVP is basically there. I think there's only like one page missing. Yeah, very excited about the new website. It's it's like the old one, let's say, but more. So it's everything you know and love, but even more. There's like a completely overhauled news section. There's an overhauled comics section. All of the game pages are different. There's like now we have like a big resource section. So instead of having to go on every game and then go on Google Drive and then in there open another folder and blah blah, there's like a big resource page if you want to. Well, there's a resource part on every game page, but there's also one big page that you can go on and it just like lists everything that we have and you can just download everything that we have. So that's very cool. We have like a little bit of lore on all the pages now. There's cool art everywhere. And right now we're actually working on the what we're calling the get started page. So basically the idea is that I suppose that maybe a lot of people on this stream, they're quite knowledgeable about OPR and what we do and how it works. But, for somebody that's just starting out, it can be a little bit overwhelming. And so in the future, what we're going to have is when you open the website, it's just going to have like a nice, like get started here, button. And then when you go on there, it's basically going to, well, number one, it's going to offer you, basically free starter sets. So yes, the starter sets are happening, and I will show you a bit here. And basically, well, fuck it, let me just show you. So, all right, there is a free 3D print and 2D print starter set for both Grimdark Future and Grimdark Future Firefight, and for Age of Fantasy and Age of Fantasy Skirmish. You heard that right. It basically allows you to have like 2 armies. It comes with some terrain. It comes with token. It comes with a ruler. It comes with army lists, pre-made army lists. It comes with some lore. It comes with like a step-by-step tutorial. It comes with like a bunch of stuff. And if you want to, 3D print or 2D print, or just kind of check it out, it's all free. And yeah, you're gonna get a bunch of stuff, and it's really just there for you to really get started. And this is also how we are basically going to be delivering free minis from now on. Instead of having like a random Colts 3D page somewhere hidden with like a bunch of just disjointed minis, we're gonna be offering new starter sets. Hopefully, we're gonna offer new starter sets every 6 to 12 months, something like that. Maybe 6 to 9 months, not sure. But yes, the starter sets, free minis, free terrain, free game aids, starter lists, everything you need. Very cool. And then also on the get started page, you're going to have. Oh wait, let me show you also the Grimdark Future one. On the get started page. Oh, and they both teach you the full games and the skirmish games. So you don't need to have like many different star sets. You just get, if you want the Grimdark star set, you get that one. You can learn Grimdark Future and Firefight in the same star set. Very cool. And then yeah, the page is gonna introduce other things, like more games and the lore and how to get started with 3D printing and where to go from here, joining the community, whatever. It's very cool. And then on top of all of the free stuff that you're going to get with the starter sets, we're also going to be giving you. So we're bringing back the the newsletter. So we used to have a newsletter for OPR, a monthly newsletter where we kind of like did like a roundup of everything that happened that month, and we're going to bring that back. And so now, kind of like as a sign up bonus for the newsletter, you're also going to get 2 free minis. I think the first 2 free minis that we're going to offer are, let me think. I think it's Saurians and Robot Legions. I think so. And yeah, and then the idea is also that those minis are going to rotate, and we're going to have new free minis, as time goes. Just a bunch of free stuff. Enjoy it. That's that's the gist of it. Just grab the free stuff, have fun with it, share it around. Get going, teach the game to friends, and just have fun. And yeah, well, this is just the beginning of the new website. There's more things that we want to add to the new website. We want to basically have a whole section about like the compatibility program. Have a whole section about like a sort of, I don't want to call it a volunteers program because it's not really that, but basically like a whole section where you can get resources on like how to get like a community going, how to get like tournaments going, how to recruit people, how to just set up your own local community centered around OPR games, and other things. We want to have like a job section, a meet the team section, and lots of stuff. But this is just the beginning. And yeah, new website coming along, coming out soon, hopefully. Okay, cool. Enough about the new website. All right, let's go to the next thing. Okay, Army Forge progress. So last stream we said we said that we were hopefully going to have the Army Forge beta fully released, whatever Army Creator thing, out by mid to end of February. So yeah, we are we are delayed. Well, okay. Good news and bad news. So bad news is we are delayed. I'm gonna say, conservatively, I guess, or optimistically. Let me put it this way: optimistically, we're going to, release the army, the web army creator thing, whatever, at the end of March. That's my current prognosis. Hoping for the best. Why? So, a week ago, basically, we thought that we had the whole thing ready, system set up, everything was running smooth, Patreon login, everything's cool. And then we said, okay, let's do like a just before we launch, let's do like a little beta test and send it out to some people in the community. So we asked the people from the community, and we basically ran through like 2 rounds of beta testing. And yeah, we realized that what we thought was a very easy and intuitive system was not as easy and intuitive as we thought. And so basically, yeah, we're going to take some more time to further streamline the system, to simplify army creation, and also to add some features that we thought originally were not going to be part of the MVP, but like now we're realizing, okay, there's features that people are already asking for and that make sense to launch with. So yeah, it's coming. Hopefully end of March. Yeah. Hopefully end of March. But it's coming. And for those, for those that have already seen it, the feedback we got is that it's awesome. Which is very cool. And we also we thought it was cool, but you never know how the community is going to react. But the feedback we got is it's awesome. It needs some work, but it's awesome. Yeah, this is going to be really great once it's out, but it's not out yet. Okay, cool. Then next thing. All right, v2.50 updates. So yeah, oops. So this week or during the weekend, we updated a lot of the v2.50 beta stuff. Originally, I didn't put any change log out, and people got a little bit like confused. but yes, so there's a lot of updates that came to the game. Basically stuff that like a lot of quality, let's say, of life improvements that and balance improvements that I had been kind of collecting over the last 6 months. And I actually went out and did it and updated it all. And Yeah, that was released yeah, during the weekend, I think. So for those that haven't checked it out yet, if you go to Army Forge, you should get a pop-up that says, what the patch notes are. Or I think if you go on the top right and you click on like the settings, there's a way to like call up the patch notes again. But basically, that's quite long. Maybe I'm not gonna go through all of it. But well, if you play OPR, v2.50, like all the stuff that's on Army Forge, double check your lists. Some things have changed. Some things have been clarified. Some units have been some units that were overpowered have been nerfed a bit. Some units that maybe were not as powerful were buffed. Kind of, not sure. I don't remember many of those, to be honest. But yes, I basically fixed a bunch of stuff. I fixed some of the more glaring things that people were complaining about. I tried to fix the Tau battle suits, and the halfling. What are they called? The halfling goat riders, which people were complaining about. Oh wait, audio issue. Wait, but now people are saying audio is good. Okay, never mind. Okay, cool. So apparently there was an audio issue, but it's gone. But anyway, so big update has come out. Check it out. Double check your army list before you start playing again. And yeah. So actually, with the Army Forge, an Army Creator, and whatever thing happening, there are more changes planned. I am planning to change a couple of special rules in terms of like how they work. A couple of the core ones, I think, just kind of streamline things. I think command groups in fantasy are going to slightly change to be a little bit more consistent, and um, impact is going to change a bit. I'm going to tone down lances. Aircraft is going to be slightly updated. Let me think. What else is there? I think these are the main changes. But there is a bigger change coming, which is there's going to be a large balance overhaul in how the costs are calculated. And yeah, basically, so the theory basically is that right now in the game, the 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 attacks are undercosted compared to defense and toughness and all those things. So yeah, the idea is that we're going to rework. Um, we're going to basically rebalance the proportions between how much attacks cost and how much defense cost. Truly, the way that you are going to see the impact is that any unit that you know that right now is like has like way too many attacks for its toughness is probably going to become quite expensive. And most units are going to be getting a small change, like, oh, some become like 5 points or 10 points more expensive, or 5 points or 10 points cheaper. Weapons are going to get generally more expensive. And then like special rules are also going to be recosted to kind of fit with that. Whatever, it's a big thing. It's coming. I will let you know when it's out. But yes, this is finally, after so long of talking about the Army Forge and the beta and the v2.50 and whatever, we're actually getting to a point where a lot of changes are starting to happen again. So game updates kind of slowed down / stopped over the last year. And so it's nice actually to get back into things for those that are used to the game being so super stable, let's say, and broken in some ways over the last month over the last year. Maybe this is going to be a slight adjustment, a little bit of an age of turmoil, where a lot of changes happen. But in the end, it's better for the overall balance of the game. Okay, I see some questions about this, so let me answer those. Do you think the weapon aura region cost is going to be a v2.50 thing? So weapon cost changing, yes. Region cost changing, yes. Aura, not really sure what you're referring to, so I'm gonna say no. Somebody asked, do you watch all the battle reports now that there is a lot more on OPR products? I try to watch battle reports, but I'm gonna be honest, I have very little time left nowadays. And well, and I'm trying actually to solve that. I'm hiring more people to help me manage the company as a whole, but I don't have as much time as I used to, where I would literally watch every battle report. But I try to watch them. Yeah. Okay, cool. Oh, and somebody says, can I make an army with army creator, or is it just a points calculator? No, it's an actual army creator. So like you will be able to make armies from scratch, which is really cool. Um oh my god. Okay, people are just throwing in a bunch of questions now. I'll answer these last two and then I'm going to keep going. When do you think we're going to get updated army list PDFs? So the new system is basically going to include the PDFs. So all the PDFs from the Google Drive are going to be gone, and the PDFs are going to be directly in Army Forge. Any plans to throw a bone to quality 5 plus armies before we get cover changes? Not really. I guess what you're going to see is that non-quality 5 up armies are going to generally become more expensive because their attacks are going to be more expensive proportionally. Maybe. But no, I understand that. Look, I understand that for players that play quality 5 up armies, it can be very frustrating to play against somebody that has a quality 3 up army. Because you're watching all your rolls fail whilst all their rolls succeed. But that's the you know that's how a quality 5 up army works. You have a lot of infantry, you have a lot of things, and they're not as good, and the others have few things and they're much better. But that also means that every model that they lose hurts more. Think about it that way. Okay, anyway, enough talking about the game changes. Let's move on to the next thing. Yeah, we're running out of time here. Okay, cool. All right, what else do we got? Okay, cool. Let's move on to something that is not game related. And let's go talk. Let's talk a little bit about lore. So this is a thing that people have been asking us for a long time. I've already been saying people for a long time that we're working on a ton of things lore related. And actually, now I think about it, the starter sets contain some lore that maybe you haven't seen yet. Anyways, well, and part of the big lore push that's happening with OPR is that we're going to be releasing short stories, 2 short stories every month. There's going to be a Grimdark Future short story and an Age of Fantasy short story every month. I think the way it's going to work is that they're going to be first like exclusively on Patreon for a while, and then build a little backlog there, and then slowly release them to the public. Whatever, little perks for patrons. But eventually, the short stories will be free on the website. And yeah, let me talk a little bit. I like to tease the stories a little bit here. I know we don't have a lot of time, so let me just give you a little tease about Undying Faith. Undying Faith is a short story set in in the Age of Fantasy universe, and it follows the mummified undead, and it basically follows a young mummified undead girl who she always wanted to be a warrior, but that didn't really pan out for her, let's say. And then after a fateful injury, she kind of changes her ways and goes on her path to become a stone shaper. That's kind of like the general gist of the story. I think it's a very cute story. It's a very nice story. I'm actually very happy that our short stories are not all focused just like on war and destruction and stuff like that, and they're actually focused on the universe as a whole, which I think is very nice. I understand that looking at OPR as war games, it's very easy to think that, oh well, our universes are all just about just about war and destruction and killing and whatever. And that's not the case, you know. Like, it's, yes, it is a universe where there is conflict, but that's not what it's all about. At least not for me, you know. Um, Somebody asks, how do you submit a short story to you? Is that even an avenue you want to go down? No, we don't just accept short stories from people. We actually have a writing team. We currently have six writers plus a lead writer, so 6 7 people that are, you know, professionally writing stories for us. We don't just accept short stories, but you know, we run a writing jam every 3 months, no, every 4 months, so 3 times a year. So, you know, if you want to write for, you know, stuff for OPR, so to say, you know, take part in writing jams, and we're always looking out there. If we see somebody that we think is particularly talented, maybe we will approach them and see if they can join our writing team. But you know, no promises. Okay, what up? Oh, okay. Yeah. So speaking of lore, another thing that we're going to be releasing aside from the short stories are the world guides and faction guides. Basically, these are you know, books that kind of tell you everything about the world of either Grim Dark Future or Age of Fantasy, or of a particular faction. Right now, we are focusing on the world guides for Grim Dark Future and Age of Fantasy. And here, you know, I'm just showcasing some of the nice art. So each book is going to be around 35, 40 pages, something like that, and contains a ton of art. I think every book has around like 100 pieces of art in it. Um, and yeah, it's really amazing to see the whole world of OPR kind of like start to take shape in terms of art, and not just be, you know, miniatures and miniature renders, or, you know, concepts, which are cool, but it's a different thing to see like full blown art. And yeah, here's one of the pieces from the Age of Fantasy World Guide. I don't really know that I want to reveal exactly what this is, but well, let's talk generally. It's like, you know, this is a piece of art just showing you a particular plane, um, and what, let's say, what it's like to be there. Yeah, maybe let's keep it mysterious like that. Okay, cool. Let's go to the next thing. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm hoping, I'm hoping that we're going to start releasing the new lore bit by bit again, end of March, maybe April. I'm hoping March. I'm not 100% sure. Let's say April. Um, but yes. Yeah, you see, like, there's a lot of things that we've been working on, and everything has been kind of getting delayed, and now everything is kind of coming at the same time. So I think that the next, I'm gonna be honest, I think that the next 6 months, or this year in general, it's gonna be like, all these things that have been delayed are gonna come out, and it's just gonna be like one thing after the other, and it's gonna pile up, and it's a lot of work on our side, because everything's kind of happening at the same time. But I think it's gonna be really, really awesome. Somebody asks, is the lore of Grimdark Future and Age of Fantasy connected? Man, I'm gonna keep going. Okay, cool. Oh, okay, nice. All right, so we are done with general studio updates. So let's go into showcasing next month's release. So, what is coming out in March? So, okay, well, we were 30 minutes into this. It's going faster than I thought. Man, these streams are always a little weird in terms of time. Anyways, okay, so what do we got? What do we got coming next month for the Ratman? So we have, first off, we have the Ratman Rangers. So the Rangers are a unit which is completely OPR original, in a sense. This is not based off any other unit, you know, or whatever, from some other games or whatever. Um, and um and yeah, basically, like, when, you know, when we came up with this whole concept of the Ratman being this sort of chivalrous, you know, good guys ish faction. I say ish because nobody's a good guy or a bad guy in our world. Everybody just has different motives, but let's say within the motives, we could say that the Ratmen are definitely good guys, like very clearly good guys. But anyway, and yeah, so the Ratmen, they kind of have this whole medieval theme, and I thought like it would be very cool to have. I always imagined having the Ratmen be have a unit of Ratmen that's sort of inspired by like the Rangers from the Rings. And so, well, we actually made the unit here, and I added it to the army list recently, so that you can actually play it. And yeah, basically, it's cool little Ratmen with bows, and they have like little hoods and capes, and there's actually one with like a little buddy as well on the shoulder. Um, yeah, and they sort of stalk around in the woods, and they scout ahead and take out enemy threats. Um, yeah, they're kind of badasses, really. Okay, then what else we got? We got the Ratman catapult. So the Ratmen have two big artillery pieces: the cannon, which was released last month, and well, the catapult, which is coming in the coming month. And the catapult, this is actually a slightly older version of the catapult. Like now, it has like some more detailing on it. But yeah, the catapult is really cool. It has a lot of little details. It has like some little rat buddies chilling there. It has like bags there, and it has like a lot of different things around it. It also comes with, oh yeah, I think I have a picture here. It also comes with a different crew than the cannon. So you actually get like a different captain, a different armor bearer, and a different engineer. I think that's what we call them. Whatever. You get three crew members, and they also get like a special little cart with like all the ammo. So you can kind of create a nice little mini diorama around the catapult, or you can always use, so the catapult is a tough 3 unit, so you can actually use the crew as a sort of wound marker. So every time that the catapult takes a wound, you remove a crew, and then once all 3 crew are gone, well, the catapult doesn't function anymore. um Okay, then what else we got? Oh, okay. This is something that people have been waiting for, and we have been waiting for, and we're very excited to start releasing, which is the Rat Ogre. So the Rat Ogres, pretty badass if you ask me. So the way that the Rat Ogres work in our lore is basically that they are, they're not abominations or anything like that. They're regular ratmen that kind of like inject themselves with this serum that helps them grow. So if you look on their shoulder, you can actually see like all the serum vials put in there. And yeah, it comes with 3 poses. They're really badass. We yeah we wanted them to have actual weapons. We thought that them just fighting with like claws felt a bit weird, even though the rules, I think, call it claws. Not sure. I'm gonna have to look into it, and maybe fix it. Maybe give them some more options. Whatever. I'll look into it. Wait, actually, like let me bookmark this right now so I don't forget. Rat ogres. Okay, cool. But yes, the idea is that basically we wanted them to have actual weapons. So there's one with a mace. There's one with a sort of morning star, I think it's called, and then there's this one with like a flail, or maybe this is the morning star. Whatever. So they have actual weapons, but for those that don't want them to hold weapons, they actually come with 2 other options, which is the claws, or they have these sort of like spiked knuckles, which we thought were kind of like um, a fun addition to the unit. Right now, they only come with the male heads. So usually, for the Ratman at least, we've been trying to make sure that every unit has a male version and a female version. Here, we were not really able to make a female version work in time. We might go back and try to make a female version fit. Not sure about that, but well, whatever. You're gonna get some cool models. If we can make a female version work, you'll get it. If not, well, enjoy the male versions. Okay, so oh yeah, okay. Next up, okay, this is the ogre, well, the ogre captain, or the captain on ogre. Basically, there is this mount for the captain in the rules, which is an actual ogre. And again, we didn't want it to feel like a beast or something like that. So here we actually have a bigger version of the rat ogre. So this is the rat ogre captain and a captain on the back, and they're kind of like fighting together as buddies. So one has a lance, one has like a big hammer, and in the back there's like a little like saddle thing so that the captain can stand on. Yeah, and it's pretty badass. It comes with a flag. I think you can print it without the captain if you just want the ogre. You can remove the flag. You can have, again, male or female version for the actual captain. Um, lots of option, lots of awesome stuff. Okay, then what else? Okay. Now this is a cool one. Okay, so, all right. This is the giant beast. So basically, again, when we were working on the Ratman, we were theming them in our way, and we wanted to make them, these kind of like noble and friendly version of Ratman. We said, well, how do we make the giant beast in such a way that it's not an abomination? And so we're basically thought, okay, the idea here is that the ratmen have like pets, and again, they kind of like give them this serum to help them grow, and then they kind of grow into these big like beasts that they can fight with. But it's a very friendly relationship. They're not abominations. Again, they're not kind of like these injections are not like killing them or whatever. It's just help them grow, help them fight alongside them. And so yeah, here is the giant beast. The giant beast is basically a captain riding on a big fox. The fox has like these barrels of this serum in the back that are kind of like feeding into it. It can be printed with the captain. It can be printed with the banner. If you want, you can remove the captain, the banner. You can print just the fox with the barrels that are feeding it. Yeah, and yeah, pretty cool. It's yeah, it's one of the first models that we're doing of this style, so to say. So there's more stuff coming in this vibe, but more of that later. And I think actually for the Ratman, that's it. That's all the models. Yes, that's all the models for March. Very excited about March. We are slowly coming to an end with the Ratman, so it's interesting to see that what kind of like units we have left over. I think that we basically have released like the bulk of the army and the most important units so far, and now it's just like all the auxiliary stuff that really just like boosts your force. Okay, cool. So let's move on to the battle sisters. So for the battle sisters, number one, we have the priest. So, well, the priestess, priestess, whatever. The priestess is basically a melee focused hero. She has this really cool cape with like a flower pattern on it. She comes with a bunch of weapons. I think she comes with like two different versions of the mace, two different versions of the sword, and then like a bunch of different like pistol options. So I think she can have a plasma pistol, flamer pistol, fusion pistol, a regular pistol. I don't know if she has a shred pistol, a bunch of stuff. And yeah, she's really cool. She's a melee beat stick, and it's very cool. She comes with like a mask. She has like this mask with like tears on it. She has like two different versions of the headgear as well, with the mask, without the mask. Lots of options. Very cool. She's a hero. Then what else we got? We got the pistoliers. So the pistoliers are basically, you take sisters, you give them jetpacks, and dual akimbo pistols, and they just go to town on the enemy. And these are very cool models. They have lots of weapon options again. So like you can have the twin pistols, and some of them have like twin plasma pistols, twin flamer pistols, whatever. And there's even one of them. It's just kind of like a leader captain kind of version. Which actually has like a nice sword, and it has like a special, sword that we made specifically for the jetpack sisters. So these are very cool, and they also come with different head options. So here you can see the head option with like a full mask and this visor. And then there is also another version. There's another version that has like the actual face showing. And okay, cool. Then so next month actually is very jetpack themed. So then we have the jetpack assault sisters. So if the pistoliers are dual akimbo pistoling, that's how they fight. Then the assault sisters actually fight with energy swords and pistols. So they're a bit more melee focused, and they have. You can actually see it here. Like they have a special version of the energy sword that has like a special like handle with wings and a heart and whatnot. And these ones also come with different options. They have different masks. that they have. Again, there's a version with like a fully enclosed like helmet and like a gas mask, and there's another version which is like with a gas mask but like an open, she has like a veil and like with the open eyes. And I think again one of them is kind of like a captain version, that has like a bunch of like weapon options. She has like a plasma pistol, flamer pistol, the usual. And then what else we got? Oh, and then the hero again, jetpack month theme. So the hero, this is the jetpack superior. It's basically, well, kind of what the name implies. It's a superior, but with a jetpack. And yeah, I mean, it's the superior with a jetpack, right? So she has a jetpack. She actually has 4 wings. So the regular sisters have like 2 wings, and this one actually has 4 wings, which kind of like harks back to the whole God Queen idea, that she's like the 4 winged God Queen, which is also, for those that don't know, it's also why they have 4 shoulder pads, because it's the 4 wings of the God Queen. And yeah, she comes with a tons of weapon options. She has a special sword. She has an energy fist. She has a regular sword, and then like a ton of like pistols, rifles with attachment. And she has like a really cool backpack that kind of like forms a halo around her head. Um, yeah, she's also very cool. And then we go for the last thing for the sisters, yes, which is the organ tank. So the organ tank, well, here, this picture maybe is a little bit dark. I don't know if you can see it very well, but the organ tank comes with a bunch of options, like all the tanks, really. So you have different options in the front. You can have like the regular. You can have like a fancy version of like the plow. Then there is like a simpler version of the plow. You cannot have the plow. At the very front, you can have like a, what does she have? There's a storm rifle, machine gun. There's like a little altar there. You can have lots of different options. And then at the top, of course, you have the big, massive altar in the back. There's 2 versions here. You can either, well, you can also do both, but whatever. So the idea here is that you have one version where, like, at the top, you have a bunch of rockets inside of the tubes, and those can be like fired out. And then you have another version which is on the side. She has like 4, like missile launchers that she can fire out. And here in this picture you cannot really see, but actually, like on the inside, the sister has like a big organ piano that she's like playing, and just somehow like firing the missiles by playing an awesome tune. Um, yeah, and as always, like lots of different options, different things that you can do. She has an optional missile as well that she can attach. I keep saying she, whatever, that you can attach to tank and whatnot. So yeah, very cool. That's what you get for the sisters. So you're gonna get the tanks, 2 tanks, 10 pistoliers, 10 assault jetpack sisters. Then you get like the jetpack superior with like tons of options. Then you also get the priestess with a ton of options. So a really nice force. Okay, cool. Let's go for the last thing in terms of like render previews. Well, not render, whatever. These sort of previews, which is okay. So this is the Ratman God Titan. So the God Titan is basically a well, it's like a big monstrous, let's say, representation of the Ratman, the mother rat. So for those that don't know, basically the Ratman. Okay, in the Ratman lore, basically they're kind of like always defending themselves in these castles that they have, and at some point their society was about to be fully destroyed, and then this rat goddess came from the sky and kind of like saved them, and now they devote themselves to the mother rat, and then the God Titan is basically like a physical manifestation of the mother rat, which is their hero. And we actually made a model for it, and so this is actually an earlier version of the model. Um, you can't really see all the options, and it's very basic. But basically, she has this big base, which is actually a diorama, and I'm going to show you some cool stuff from the diorama in a minute. And here you cannot see, but she has all these very very ornamented clothes, and she comes with multiple options. So You can have open mouth, closed mouth. She comes with a spear and then like a sort of like, I don't know, casting hand. But then there's actually a second version which has like a beautiful ornamented staff. And she also has like a little relic that she carries around. So there's different options here as well. And yeah, she comes with this beautiful base. And the base is it's essentially like a mini diorama. And yeah, so like our sculptor has been having Joao, thank you Joao for this model. He's been having a little bit of fun with this, and so I'm going to show you a couple of things from the diorama side of it at the bottom. Um so first up we have a sleeping rat. So in the diorama you have like these little cubbies, and in one of them you can find like a little rat sleeping with the little um piece of cheese. I think it's absolutely adorable. And really, the rat buddies have been one of the most fun things for both our sculptors and our community. I Every time we get to we make a really badass model, and then after like the badassery is done and like, oh, it looks cool and it's violent and whatever, then we get to be like, okay, and what about some fun little rat buddy doing something cute? And I think it really like it really shows that balance for me that we have with OPR, where it's like, yes, it's it's a war game and it's about battles and badassery, but also it's fun, it's a game, right? Anyway, so that's one of them. Then the second, okay, here's another one. So there's like a little scene that you can see where there's like two little buddies like kind of having a chat, and just, I don't know, talking about life, rat life. And if you look on the side, there's actually like a little buddy that is getting ready to like steal some of their cheese whilst they're distracted, and having a conversation. Yeah, which I think is very cool. And again, it shows you that that fun interaction that you can have when you have like little buddies. Somebody asked, how big is this model? Very big. So the actual God Titan is a tough 18, so it's 130 millimeters tall plus the base. I'm not sure exactly how tall the base is, but this is gonna be at least 150, something like that, or maybe even a bit taller with like all the hair and whatever. It's a very big model. And yeah, this is a legendary model, so legendary models are kind of like designed almost more as showcase pieces than as gaming pieces. You can use it as gaming pieces, and we also always provide the models like detachable from the base in case you want to just simplify and have like a simpler base that you can actually game with. But yes, this is a really big model. And then okay, I see somebody says he has been ignoring the Ratapult thing. I get the Ratapult thing. I'm not sure that it's gonna be like that. Let me take a note. Maybe we can call it a Ratapult. I'm not sure. Um, maybe. Okay, I'll have to think about it. Okay, cool. And then I'm gonna show you one more, which I think is very cool. Which is boom. Okay, the the slip and slide rats. So basically, one part of this big underground diorama part is that basically it's like a sewage. And so yeah, here you can see like that there's like two holes, and then some rats that are like sliding out like a slip and slide. And the buddy on the left is having fun and going like head first, and then the buddy on the right is a little bit more scared. It's like, oh my god. um yeah, that's kind of like the idea here. So again, just having fun with the models, and not everything has to be grim and dark. And these are, so I'm just showing you 3 examples from things on this base. There are actually like a couple of other like really cool cute little interactions that are happening with the little rat buddies on this model. But yeah, you're not gonna get to see them here. Check them out on the final model. You're gonna love them. And yeah, it's actually really nice to see that like as we're getting to the end of the army, we get to just do some fun stuff. And in a way it's very cool to see how the God Titan is sort of culmination of everything we've kind of learned throughout making the Ratman, and just like in terms of style and design and like all the different assets that we have. And I don't know, it just all kind of like comes together. It's actually very cool. um Yeah. Somebody asks, are the buddies on this model detachable? Some of them, yes. Some of them, no. Okay. Cool. I think that's. Oh yes. Okay. That's it with the renders. Now we're gonna go on to some concept art. So I'm gonna show you some concept art from the models that are coming out in April. Yeah, this is for March, so April. Okay, April is actually the last month for the Ratman, um, which is there are some people that have been complaining about, like, oh, you're making these really long releases, 5 or 6 months per army, and I understand for those that are used to like other patrons where you get a new army every month or something like that. I get it. It can be kind of annoying. But I have to say, like, for us, well, number one, it's much better in terms of just like production. Switching a different army every month and doing like the huge amount of work that we do into making sure that it fits the lore and the concepts and the anatomies and the assets and everything. I don't think it's really viable. At least not for us. I'm not saying that it's not viable for other teams, but for us, rushing out a completely new army from scratch every month, it's a bit crazy. But also, it really helps, I feel, get people into the army and understand it and slowly expand their collection. And by now we're getting to the end of it. I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm getting a little sad. Like, it has been such a fun ride to do Ratman for so long. Um, yeah, I'm gonna miss them. I'm gonna miss them when they're gone. Um, yeah. Somebody said ETA for rats in space. No ETA. Okay, cool. Now let's move on to the concept art. Okay, so this is the concept art for April. So, number one, this is a unit that many people have asked for. So the Ratman conscripts. So, in our faction, the Ratmen don't have slaves. We don't think it fits their theme, and it's not really something that we want to really tackle with them as a theme. So instead, they have conscripts. So the conscripts are basically like regular little farmer rats that have taken up arms to fight whatever demons or whoever is at their door. This is actually a very cool unit. Here you're only seeing a small snippet of it, but basically it has like 5 models. Every model actually has like a different clothing, because we thought, like, okay, if they're just like a bunch of random farmers, they're not going to have like a uniform. They're all going to be a little bit different, um, which I thought was cool. And then they also have like all these interesting little assets with them. I think one of them is like a cook, and so it's like a little ladle. Then there's one that has like a nail file. I think there's one with oh, there's 2 of them that actually have like slings, because we know that some people want their um we know that some people have been asking for Ratman with slings, so we thought, hey, let's throw in some slingers in here. So we have like 2 rats with slings, and they have like a little pouch with like rocks in them. But yes, the conscripts are pretty cool. Fairly basic unit, to be honest. Just some cool little rat rat friends. Okay, cool. Next up, okay, Storm Ogres. So Storm Ogres, whew. So the Storm Ogres, if you thought the Ogres were badass, the Storm Ogres are like another level. The Storm Ogres come with like 1,000 options. I think this is like one of the biggest kits we've ever done. There's like 100 bits in here. It's enormous. So how do the Storm Ogres function? So you basically have 3 poses, but each arm can have a different weapon. I think they have fists, then they have a Gatling gun, a flamer, a mortar, a death roller thing, a shock roller, and a drill on each arm. So you're looking at what, like a 6 options for each arm. So it's like 12 options. Oh, plus the fists. And then on top of that, they have special backpacks. So there's 6 different types of backpacks, 1 for each type. So there's a flamer backpack, a drill backpack, shock backpack, whatever. There's lots of bits. They have different head types as well. And then also there's little rat buddies. So on the backpacks, you're gonna have like little rat buddies doing different things. Like, I think there's one like pulling a lever, and then there's one just kind of like hanging there. And yeah, very cool. This is a very cool kit. I've already seen it in 3D. It's amazing. I think you're gonna love it. Okay, then what did I get? Oh, okay. Then what is this one called? The Captain's Beast mouth. Whatever. So before you saw that, in March you're gonna get the Giant Beast, which was like a really huge T12 model, and this is a smaller T6 model which is basically like a smaller mount for the Captain. And yeah, here the idea is that we have oh god, what is this called? A ferret? A ferret? A ferret? A weasel? Whatever. It's one of those. It's a ferret or a weasel. I think it's meant to be a ferret. Don't quote me on this. But yes, basically same kind of concept as before, right? So like they take an animal, they give it, it's like their friend, it's their buddy, and then they give it serum, and then it grows, and then they ride it and into battle, and it fights alongside them. I think this is going to be a very cool model, very cute, different head options. We're thinking of maybe doing like some sort of like really nice and dynamic pose, or maybe a bit more of a badass pose. Not sure, to be seen, but I think this one is going to be very cool. And then then we have the death roll. Yeah, the last month kind of just throws in everything that you've been missing from the Ratman. And so the great death roller, I think it's called, the giant death roller, whatever. So the regular weapon teams have like a small death roller, which is sort of like a little motorcycle with like a wheel thing that kind of like they use to squash their enemies. And the great death roller is like the bigger, more badass version of it. So it's a huge thing. It's a huge motorcycle. There's like a badass biker mouse on it. Biker mouse from space. Is that what they were called? Whatever. And then in the back, there's like a turret with like a huge double Gatling gun. And and a rat there just like just firing away. And actually, like so in the front, you can see that it has like two big wheels, and there's actually like an additional attachment that you can put. It's just like these sort of like barbed flail wheel things. Whatever. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's a really cool model. It's really huge. And again, you see like as the army continues and we get to it at the end, like it really, like the whole theme comes together. We have the medieval part of it, the kind of crazy part of it. We have the cute part of it. We have the engineering part of it. And then all these bits and bobs that we've collected over time are just coming together. Yeah, very cool. And with this is actually like the last mainline unit that is going to be released for the Ratman. There's also going to be a loyalty reward for the Ratman at some point. And yeah, I think that's it. With that, we're gonna have wrapped up the Ratman. Oh well, there's also the terrain, but that's still in production. It's gonna take a while. Yeah, and then wait, what is this? Am I? Oh. Okay. I don't know what happened here to the slides, but it seems like I missed something. Oh yeah, I forgot. You're actually still getting the platform. So the platform is another amazing model. Jesus, April is gonna be really amazing. So the platform is another amazing model because it's basically you're getting like 4 models for the price of one, essentially. Because so it's going to be a big platform carried by I think 6 to 8 rats that are carrying it. And then on top you have a modular bit. So the first modular bit is basically okay, wait. Before we get even into that, with this model, you're going to get a new version of the Ratman Priest. So it's a special priest. It has a different clothing. It's a different staff. It's very cool. You're going to be able to use this priest by itself. You're welcome. And then it has different versions at the top. So number 1, the giant bell. So it has like this big structure in the middle. There's like this big bell that like they ring and whatever. Little details everywhere. There's like a nice like spell book kind of thing. Then the second version is like the holy statue. So there's like a nice big statue of the mother rat, which I don't remember exactly what it does in the game. Damn. Whatever. The holy statue does something cool, so you can have like the nice statue. By the way, the whole thing is modular, so you can do things and reverse them in every direction. So you can have. So the idea is that basically, if you have two of the attachments, the rats go in the direction of the thing. I don't know how to explain it. Whatever. It can be used in both directions. You can have the item, the big item, either towards the enemy or away from the enemy, depending on what you do. So if you have the bell or the holy statue, you want it away from the enemy. But if you have the next things, you want it towards the enemy, because what else are you going to get? So you're going to get a massive rat ogre. So you're going to have a special rat ogre in a special pose. He has either a big bell or a big sensor, and you can have this towards the facing towards the enemy. So imagine, like, you have all these rats with this platform going forward, and then there's like a big rat ogre just swinging a bell and destroying the enemy. Or you can have this big arch with the giant sensor, and here you have the sensor like swinging into the enemy and distributing poison and stuff like that. And yeah, it's very cool. Jeez, I almost forgot about this model. So many things. Yeah, wait, what else have I forgotten then? Oh, okay. So that was not the last model that you're gonna get. This is actually the last thing you're gonna get. So, as some of you know, we love the little rat buddies and rat companions from the Ratman. So, what we're going to be working on is a special little set of the giant rat, the giant rats. So there's the buddies, which are very small. Then there's the Ratman, which are big, and then there's the giant rats, which are like this in between version. And so basically, there's going to be 6 versions of the giant rats, each one themed. No, 5 versions. Yeah, I think it's 5 versions, each one themed after a different part of the Ratman lore. So there's going to be a warrior one, there's going to be a royal one, there's going to be a monk one, there's going to be a assassin one, and there's going to be an engineer one. And then the idea is basically that take these, mount on a base, put them wherever you want, put them on a unit, put them with a hero. There's actually an upgrade for the heroes that is like a pet companion. So you can pick one of these, and originally we were gonna do 1, then we decided to do 5 because they're awesome. So yeah, these are yes, this is the last thing you're gonna get for the Ratman in the April release, and it's gonna be pretty awesome. God, I love the Ratman. Okay, cool. All right, let's move on to the Battle Sisters. Okay, what are we gonna get for the Battle Sisters in April? So, number 1, we're going to get the Witch. So, very cool. I'm not sure if people have really seen this somewhere else before, but basically, our Battle Sisters actually have psychics, and for them, it's the Witch. So the Witch is very cool. She comes with like different hat options. She comes with different staves, and actually, so I think the final pose is pose number 1, which is the one most on the left. And so basically, you have like the sister holding the staff and like reading a spell out of the book and kind of like singing. And we actually model it with an open mouth so you can see like, oh, and she's kind of like singing a spell. And yeah, different hat options, different staves. Yeah, very cool. Very cool hero, and you need to cast the spell, you call the Witch. Then they're gonna get the Canoness. So the Canoness is basically like the top hero from the Battle Sisters. She kind of like, let's say, represents the army. And so in those terms, she has like the most extravagant like clothing and cape, and the most extravagant backpack. And then also she comes with different options. So she has a sword or a pistol in her left hand, and then on the right hand, she will either have like a nice big banner, or you can exchange the banner for a spear. Yeah, and yeah, very cool. I actually really look forward to seeing this model. We still haven't modeled it, but yeah, I really look forward to seeing how it's going to turn out, because I think just having this kind of like centerpiece hero with like a massive banner that you can then like freehand on and do some really cool, awesome like illustrations on. I think sounds really cool. Okay, and then what else do they get? So these are 2 heroes. Okay, then units. So they get the support sisters. So the support sisters are basically well, so they're like kind of like the warriors, but they have heavier, they have kind of like heavier armor. They have heavier armor. They have these bigger, heavier backpacks. They have like these really tall collar things. Very cool. And then yeah, it comes with 5 poses. Each pose has the option for heavy flamethrower, heavy machine gun, heavy fusion rifle. And then there's like these like really cool. We're actually literally working on them right now. I saw them today. And there's like these pipes that go from the back of the backpack into the weapon. It looks very cool. And yeah, even though in the rules there was only 3, now we change it to be like 3 models per unit. You're still gonna get the 5 models, so don't worry about that. Somebody asked, is the banner going to have the design on it? Complicated. So we this is actually something that we were talking about in a call today. We have tried to get the design on it, and honestly, big doubt, because that design was not originally made with the idea in mind of being like modeled. It was just like a cool illustration that we made, and then when doing the concept, we just put it on there to be like, oh, like this is a cool thing that you can do. We've been trying to get that design to work for the mini, and honestly, it was not designed for that. It's not looking good. It's not working well. So unless we somehow find a solution, you're just gonna have to freehand it, and it's gonna be an empty banner. Okay, cool. So that's the support sisters. Big badass chicks with machine guns, which is very cool. And then what else do you get? Oh, okay. Then we're gonna get into the big stuff. So you're going to get the Paragon, and the Paragon is well, the Paragon is somewhere between a Destroyer sister and a Walker. So it's in the tough 6 range. So basically, this is a um, a battle sister, kind of like mounted inside of like this sort of mini mech thing. She comes with lots of options. She has like a fist. She can have a mace. She can have a sword, and then on the arm, under the arm, she can mount a heavy flamethrower, a heavy machine gun, maybe a heavy fusion rifle, not sure. And then on top of the arm, she can also mount like a grenade launcher or a storm rifle. We had this idea of trying to put it like on the shoulders, but I'm not sure that it's going to work with the shoulder pads. So it's probably going to be mounted on the on the arms. But yeah, really cool. It's really cool to actually go into this sort of like mech design that is like a hybrid and not just like a mech. It's not like the Eternal Dynasty where it's just fully a robot. It's actually a sister inside of a mech, and yeah, it's gonna be an interesting challenge to make this in 3D. Is there an option to hide the head? Yes. So wait. I am 90% sure that yes, because one of the things, let me just double check the concept art. And if not, then I'm going to have to talk to someone about this. But one of the things that we've been doing with the sisters, because a lot of people have been saying like, hey, I don't want to paint heads, is to provide options for a closed cockpit. So, yeah, I don't think there is currently an option. So I'm going to take a screenshot. Thank you for bringing that up. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm just making sure that you're going to get the models that you desire, but that means waiting for a second. All right, there you go. You get to see the creative process in the making. Okay, cool. All right, so that's the Paragon sister. And now somebody says robot voice. Is it still? I'm not sure what happened. Is it because I changed? Can you hear me better now? I feel like maybe every time I'm like changing the window. Oh, Interesting. Yeah, it seems like so I changed the focus from whatever the restream thing to a different window, and maybe that's what the problem is. Okay, whatever. So that's the Paragon, and then yeah, if you tab out of the stream, you get problems with the microphone. So weird. Okay, cool. Whatever. Let's go into the last unit for the Battle Sisters for April, which is the battle tank. Okay, battle tank. We're actually working on it right now. Very cool model. It's basically take the APC slash organ tank slash infernal APC whatever design, up armor it so it has like extra armor in the front, it has extra armor in the side, and then at the top it has like a nice turret. The turret comes with three different versions, so it has a battle cannon version, it has an anti-tank cannon version, it has a twin auto cannon version. It also has sponsons, so this is actually it's the first time we're doing a model with sponsons, so it has spons. You can have it without sponsons, of course, but it also has sponsons again for heavy machine gun, heavy flamethrower, heavy fusion rifle, and then as always, tons of options. You can have with the plow, we can have the fancy plow, the normal plow, no plow in the front. You can have like a bunch of things: the storm rifle, the machine gun, blah 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 blah. You can have the missiles on the side. Tons of options. Yeah, it looks really cool. Somebody mentioned turret looks like a World War II era Sherman turret. So actually, all of the Battle Sisters tank designs were inspired by World War II tanks. The primary inspiration was the German Tiger tank, but then other tanks as well. Yeah, just trying to make sure that we have something that um, when it comes to designing sci-fi vehicles, I think it's very easy to kind of um, I don't know. I think it's very easy that if you start from scratch and you do kind of like whatever you want, that you end up with a very unrealistic looking design, or maybe unrealistic is wrong, but unbelievable or I don't know, something that doesn't feel quite right. Um, and so here we thought, okay, let's actually find a real world counterpart that we can use as a basis, and then we go from there. And so yeah, that's what we did with the World War II tanks, and yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. I've seen it in 3D; it looks awesome. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to see it happen. Okay, now then, cool. With this, we have finally reached the Q&A. Okay, this has been an hour and 15. Very cool. We're on time. All right, so Q&A. How does it work? So first off, I suppose I can do this. Is this good? Better? Is this better? I feel like this is better. Okay, cool. Q&A. All right. So, like I was mentioning at the very beginning of the stream, for those that have been here since the beginning, so the idea is that at the end of the streams, I give you a link where you post all your questions, which is what we did last time. And then before the stream begins, maybe like an hour before, 2 hours before, I don't know, I would, pick up all the questions and kind of filter out, the ones that matter the most or the ones that are not repeated and blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, today I didn't have time to do that. So I am going to just go through the questions as they are without having them filtered. So again, you might have some questions that are either weird or that I don't really want to answer or that have been repeated or that I don't really understand. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that. I will try to make sure that for the next stream I filter them before the thing. But yeah, okay. So one thing that I want to try though and understand now is, okay. So I'm not gonna tab out, but okay. If I change the tab, well, actually, okay. If I change the tab, but I remain on Google Chrome, can you still hear me well? Can you please confirm if it's going robo voice or if it's still fine? Anybody? I suppose there's a delay. Sounds fine. Yes. Perfect. Normal. Fine. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, okay, there seems to be like a minute delay or something. Okay, cool. So all right, let's go into the questions. So is there a license or something that is there a license to print and sell your minis? No, there is not. Um is there a chance you will invite established author to write lore novels? Maybe. I'm going to be honest, like I have tried over the last year to get in contact with established authors, and it's very difficult. Like most of them don't have a website, or they don't have an Instagram, or they don't have anywhere a blog, anything that I can even find a contact. Those where I could find a contact, I didn't get a reply. With some of them, you have to go through agents, and the agents didn't reply. So I would love to have established authors write novels for us. But currently, it seems that unless they reach out to us, I don't know. Um, I don't know how to contact them. So, yes, if you know any established author, give them our contact info at onepagerules.com, and we will talk to them about it. Okay. I like the simplicity of OPR games. Are you gonna keep the one-page rules as the game get bigger and complicated? Yes, we're gonna keep the one-page rules. The games are not getting bigger or more complicated, and I think the one-page philosophy of keeping everything on the core rules page is part of what helps us do that. Yeah, but the one-page version is going to stay. I know that there's some people that say like, oh, for me the one-page version doesn't count, and I only use the basic rule book or whatever. But for me, it's actually the other way around. Like I never play with anything that's not just the core page, and for me, the core page is the way to play. The basic rulebook for me is just like a beginner's guide for those that are just getting into wargaming and and are learning. But the core one page is what is at the core of OPR. Is there a possibility in the future for local game stores content OPR for a sponsor tournament? Like I was mentioning when we were talking about the website, in the future we're going to have some resources for local game stores and clubs to help do like tournaments and stuff like that. We also want to include things like rewards packs and like tournament packs and you know. What do you call like prize packs and stuff like that. We're this is all still in the talks with our manufacturer, and we will let you know once we have more about sponsor tournaments. Maybe it really depends on what is going on and how it works for us. But yes, there is a possibility in the future. For sure in the future we're going to be helping out with supporting events, OPR events. Yes. Wait, did I answer? Yes. In the future, we are going to help get people to organize OPR events. I hope that makes sense. Can you talk about why you do whole army releases? Instead of one faction a month. It's what I was talking about before. It's our armies are big and complex, and they take a lot of work to do, and we don't want to just kind of like really rush out a new army every month. And actually, it's so for those that don't know, at the very beginning when OPR started making minis, we actually were doing 3-month faction releases. So the idea was we're going to release like the first couple of minis, like the first couple of units. I don't know how many it was at the time. I think it was 3 units a month per army. So it was like the first 9 or 10 units of the army, and then move on to the next one. And people hated it. People were going nuts. So we did that for about like 6 months or more, 8 months. I'm not sure. And people hated it because they were like, "Hey, I just started an army. You stopped producing it, and now I'm stuck. Like I have half an army. Not even. I have a third of an army. I don't have the rest of the models. When are the models coming? When are the models coming?" And people kept asking, and it made sense. Like I get it. Like if we start releasing an army, we should finish it. And so yeah, that's why we do full releases. You mentioned going back and updating older models with new weapons. Will they also add upgrades such as command models for Guardian statues? I'm not sure. Do the Guardian statues have command models? I don't remember. But yes, we want to go back and update older models with new weapons. Wherever we see the need, we will do it. But We first need to create like a nice backlog of things on our side before we can start tackling those things. Oh, there's a question. The original Ratman concept art had an awesome great ferret mount. Is it still planned to come? We have showcased it today. Are you considering adding OPR original hero units to armies? Not to the armies, but in the campaign books. So we have these campaign books that are released as expansions, whatever, that you can buy on Wargame Vault, and there are heroes in there. And so there's actually rules for them, so you can use those in the game. I think they need to be adapted now that we have that when v2.50 is going to be like the official thing. But we have no intention of putting named heroes in the core armies. Have you thought of sponsoring painting channel? Yes, we have. We actually have done sponsorships with different painting channels on YouTube. Yeah, it was nice. We're still doing it with some. We still have some promotions coming. So yeah, we do sponsor YouTube painters. When are green skins coming out? No plans. With you taking a different direction with the Ratman for Noble Rats, what other classics you might? I wonder what other classics you might take a different approach to. Most notably orcs. Yes, we have some ideas on how to make the orcs more unique to OPR. We had already made a sort of army overview for the orcs that you can find on Patreon. But we're actually going to rework that a bit. So yeah, it's not going to be as far removed as you might think. So it's not going to be like, oh my god, I don't know, orcs, dwarf orcs. I don't know what that means. Aztec orcs. It's not going to be something like that, but we're going to try and make sure that the orcs are, are more like ours. What are the requirements to add units to the wiki? There are no requirements. The wiki is a community wiki. So go to the community wiki section, talk to the people there. We don't personally touch the wiki. I don't put anything in there. It's fully a community wiki. Whatever you want on there, you make it. I noticed that big monsters and units like chariots are not available in 2D print. And I would like to know why they weren't made and if there are any plans to them. So big models, we don't like to make the big models for 2D print for two reasons. I think it's two main reasons. Number one, well, I guess three reasons maybe. Number one, to make them look nice. Well, no, the number one is a lot of them are too big to fit on an A4 piece of paper. So there's that. So they don't fit. I can't put them there. Number two, if you put them there that they do fit, a lot of times the paper is just gonna it's just gonna fold and it's not gonna be nice and it's not gonna work out. It would be better to have them like a sort of like 2.5D or 3D models. And number three, getting the angle for them to work well in 3D, it's a bit tough because it's like, so we make our models from the front and from the back basically. So how do you make these? Do you make them side to side? Do you make them from the front? I don't know. There were too many things that we didn't really, think made sense for the big models in 2D. Yeah, so we didn't make them and we're not going to make them. I'm sorry, not everything translates to 2D. We try to do the best we can to support the 2D print community, even though it's, I think, less than 3% of our community, something like that. We try to do our best, but yeah, that's as far as we can go. What are the rules for command groups? Find them in the rulebook. Will we get terrain for Duchess of Vinci? Yes. Will we get a fantasy version of Eternal Dynasty? No. Would you consider combining Havoc demons and their disciples into 4 armies rather than having them be 8 kind of subfactions? No. What tone are you aiming to convey with the games? Oh, okay. So the person says Grimdark Future has the word Grimdark in its titles, but the comics suggest a much less depressing or dystopian setting. Yes, even though it's called Grimdark Future, in a sense, the name is unfortunate. The universes that we create are open to any and all sorts of stories. So you can have some really grim and dark stories in the Grimdark Future universe or the Age of Fantasy universe, but you can also have some really nice and lighthearted and fun stories in the universes. Really, the settings are just a setting, are more like not a blank slate, but are a starting point for you to tell your own stories and for you to have fun, and for you to kind of like explore and do whatever you want. And so um, we don't want to establish the universe as super dark or just super funny. There is space for everything in there. Who is the Quick Start 3.0 aimed for? It's aimed at new players. Well, on the one side, it's aimed at new players, from the most newbie player who's gonna use the tutorial and play through the 5 tutorial missions and kind of learn like, okay, this is how you move, and then this is how you shoot, and then this is how you do melee. On the other hand, it's for people that have some experience with wargaming but are new to OPR. So it kind of like provides you like some starting lists and the rules and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I think truly it's for newbies and for people that are just getting to know OPR. And I think the free stuff also helps. It's also for people that like free stuff, so free minis, free terrain, and so on and so forth. So if you're a veteran player, yeah, just grab the starter sets for the free minis if you don't have those already. Outside of that, I don't think there's a lot free there. Okay, this one's really long. I have run a local OPR group for a year. There are people that bounce between Kings of War and Age of Fantasy. People use competitive rules exclusively. We would like to see more optional lists. Like added more optional rules. The game become less balanced. Okay, so the question is basically about like optional rules and other units. So number one, once the army creator is out, you're going to be able to tweak the units however you want in the army creator and have your fun with that. So you're not going to have to wait for us to add whatever units that you want or need for your matches. Number two, yes, we plan on not only expanding the advanced rules section, the optional rules section from the full rulebook, which actually we're going to kind of like change how that works, but whatever. We want to basically double the amount of like optional rules that we provide. And yes, we also want to do like take a look at them again and like kind of do like a new balance pass and make sure like, okay, does everything here make sense? Does everything here kind of like work with each other? Is everything balanced? So there are plans to do it, but there's other priorities right now. I'm a new patron and new to Patreon. You have lots of cool stuff. Does this mean I have access to the backlog? No. So when you support, you get everything from the current month, and you also get a discount code. So it's the regular discount code is 50%. The special discount code is 70%, with which you can then go and buy the stuff from the backlog. Any update on the release dates of 2.50, Quest, FTL, and Small Scale? When it's done, that's what I can tell you. It's if it's not ready, it's not ready. I don't really like to give release dates because I don't want to pretend like I have a release date. I don't. So when the things are ready, they're going to be released. Will you be working to differentiate armies more in the upcoming versions? Yeah, that's something we would like to do. I would love to take a look at all the armies and kind of see like what can become more unique, what kind of like unique army special rules can we give them, and what faction flavor can we give them and stuff like that. Yeah, it's something that I would love to do. There was a fan-made module for a Mordheim-like version of AOF. Are there any plans of doing something like that? Yes, there are some plans to do basically a version of Gang Wars for fantasy. Is this the intention for Cell Source? No, Cell Source is more of like a co-op skirmish RPG sort of thing. It's not really Mordheim. We're currently running a campaign with over 20 players. Could we get some support for a channel? I'm not sure what you mean. There are threads that you can use on Discord. Will there be extended support for online playing? Not that I know of. You can talk to the mods and see if they have some ideas for that. Do you have an idea of when Army Forge Builder will release? When it's ready. Somebody asked, "What is love?" Baby, don't hurt me. Is there anything in the works to help support for local friendly game stores? Yes. I've been a member since December. This is my first army. I'm loving the Ratman. Is the Titan a regular release along with the army model, a special release after? Okay, so there is going to be a God Titan, like I said, now in March, and then there is going to be another big legendary model. Well, no, big loyalty reward coming in a couple of months. I'm not sure exactly when. When will we be finding out what the next faction are after Battle System and Ratman? So I think you're going to find out what the next fantasy faction is at the end of this month. Let me double check. So we are going to be revealing the new faction at the end of March. Yes. Right? No, at the end of February. Not sure. Not sure. Let me say end of March. Let me say end of March for now. Maybe end of February. Keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for the roadmap. And for the Battle Sisters, I suppose it's going to be a month or two after that. I have some new units that have been changed to include rather big... Oh, there are units that were changed in 2.50 to include big base weapons instead of smaller upgradable one. Why not always equip this? Okay, so I think this is about like the... Okay, so I think I understand this question. Basically, the question is, why, for example, do battle tanks always start with sponsons? Why don't they start without sponsons and then you upgrade them? So generally speaking, one of the things that we wanted to solve with 2.50 was that that we wanted to remove trap choices. So a trap choice is basically a unit that if you buy it without any upgrades, then it's going to be too weak to really do anything in the game. And so in that sense, it's a trap choice because if you're a newbie, you're going to buy that unit thinking like, oh, I have a cool unit here, but it actually doesn't function unless you actually give it the upgrades. So in order to avoid that, we actually decided to include those upgrades directly into the unit. And so you start off with a solid unit that is balanced, and then you can upgrade on top of that or do side grades kind of. Are there plans to add new armies to the game from other IPs? Something like Star Wars? No. We are not planning to add any armies from something like other IPs. We are building our own IP, and there is no plans for something like that. That being said, once the army creator is out, I am sure that somebody in the community is going to make Star Wars armies, and then you're going to be able to play them and enjoy them. What is your favorite army to play when you have the chance to play either Age of Fantasy Grim or Future? I'm not sure. I kind of flip flop really. Like usually I would play in the terms of like in the context of a playtest. So like I'm just running some playtests to test out some stuff. And then I will kind of just pick a random army. Like I kind of like most of them. I really... There are a few armies that I don't like or that I don't enjoy. And I actually feel like you can kind of feel it in the army design. Like, I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe I don't like them because their army design is not something that really speaks to me. But yeah, I don't know. I love Ratman. I love Saurians. For fantasy, for sure. I love humans as well. Elves can be fun. You see, I kind of like them all. Sci-fi. I like Machine Cult. I like their vibe. You know, maybe it's just that like I go kind of more for like models rather than just like specific rules. So I like Machine Cult. I actually think Tower very cool. I actually really like the Eternal Dynasty. Sorry, and Starhost. Um, Robot Legions as well. Again, I think I just like most armies. I'm gonna say I even like Battle Brothers to some extent. You know, for as much as they've been memed, um, yeah, I can say that there's something cool in playing Battle Brothers as well. Um, okay, how much do you love the community? I love the community. I am so happy that we have such an awesome community. Look, are there some people in the community that are assholes? For sure, there's always assholes everywhere. But by and large, I feel like the community is really cool. I feel like even though maybe I don't play with the same mindset and as other people in the community, I'm not so much of like a competitive balance player or whatever. Um, it's actually this community is so cool that it actually kind of like gets me into it. Like I really love especially lately as I've been like doing more like balanced things. I really love just reading about like how people are playing and what are the cool things that they find and strategies and how can you break the game. And so in that sense, like from a mechanical standpoint, I really love the competitive scene as well. But in general, like just I love the community. After all the OGL drama, do you fear for future backlash from the community? Not I mean, there's always gonna be backlash, This is a thing that, like, maybe shocks a couple of people in the community, in our OPR community, especially as we keep growing, is that it's a matter of scale. So, like, when we had 100 people, if 1% of people were pissed off, that was one person complaining. Now that we have, I don't know, how many patrons do we have? Like 12,000 patrons almost? 1% of people complaining, it's 120 people, right? So you went from one person's voice to 120 people, and so backlash becomes backlash, quote unquote backlash, becomes bigger and more visible than it was before, simply because of the scale. As a project keeps growing bigger, there are more haters, and there are more people that have something to complain about legitimately as well. And generally speaking, people that are satisfied don't comment. It's usually people that are really upset that comment, right? Because they have a reason to comment. People that are satisfied, people that are enjoying the games or the miniatures, they have nothing to say. So I feel like, for instance, that's a thing that we can see in the Patreon comments sometimes, where it's like we will showcase a model, and then somebody will say like, I think this model sucks, and then five other people will jump in and say, well, I think this model sucks as well. And then somebody will come and tell me like, oh, don't you see, like, the community hates this model, why don't you change it? And it's like, okay, but six people complained. There's 12,000 people on this Patreon. So I I can't focus on just those six people, especially because also there's people that are happy about them and they comment very positively. But of course, the positive comments get ignored. So am I afraid for future backlash? I'm not afraid of future backlash in the sense that I think that as we grow, backlash is inevitable. What can we expect? Like red lines OPR would never cross. I don't know. I never really thought about it. What are red lines OPR would never cross? I don't know. We're not gonna start making weapons of mass destruction. I don't know. I see OPR as ruling by number, by being accessible and open. Unlike big corporations that milk the whales, but I may be biased by my enthusiasm. I'm not sure. Let me tell you something about big whales. So I know that there's like this whole idea of like big companies exploiting whale players or whatever. But I actually have found a very interesting opposite problem with OPR is that we don't have. This is such a weird problem to have. We don't have enough things for people to spend money on. It's weird. Like people contact me, people send me emails, people send me messages, and they're like, "Hey, I love OPR. I am a patron, so I'm paying $10 a month. How else can I support OPR?" And I'm like, "That's it. If you're a patron and you keep staying a patron, you're gonna have everything that's on my mini factory, everything that's on War Game Vault. You're gonna have everything we release. So you can't really spend more than those $10. So I don't know. Like sometimes I wonder if we should find a way to create more additional content that those, quote unquote whale players can invest in. I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird problem to have. I'm gonna be honest. Oh, red lines that we don't cross. I think a red line that we will never cross is the idea of making a unit specifically, overpowered, so that we can sell more models. Like we don't really connect. Like for as much as yes, the models are made to play the game, they're not really connected that way. The rules are kind of like their own separate entity that exists besides the models. And I think especially the fact that we have the point calculator, which is open for every patron to see, um, can give you that confidence that like we're not just tweaking values to make something OP so that you buy it, right? Um, you can go and check the values. And even better, if you think what we did is OP, once the army creator is out, you can make your own version. And then you can be like, look, OPR is making this model. I don't agree with how they made it. The stats for this model. I don't agree with how they made them. Here is my alternate version. And then go play that version. I think in some ways it's kind of scary to think about that's going to happen. But on the other hand, I think it's going to be very liberating, and very cool. Okay. When you wrote the rules, did you ever run into roadblocks or issue writing them down? Yeah, lots of problems. Now not so much anymore, I suppose, because the rules, have been constantly tweaked on for the last, whatever, 8 years, 9 years by now. But big decisions, especially at the beginning, like how do we handle, I don't know, quality? How do we handle defense? How do we handle this? There was a lot of roadblocks, a lot of moments where it was like, do you go left or right? Right? What do you do with the game? My biggest roadblock, honestly, in the last year-ish, year and a half, is that as the company grows, I have less and less and less time to work on creative things. I'm trying to solve that, putting that out there, but I have less and less time to work on creative things. So that's really my biggest roadblock. So, for instance, like over these last 2 months, I barely touched Age of Fantasy Quest, and I wanted to work on it, and I wanted to have it released ASAP because I think it's going to be a fun game for people to enjoy. But I just have too many other things on my plate. So that's the biggest roadblock, just time. Will there be more keywords? Can you report proposals somewhere? I suppose this person is talking about core special rules. There might be one or two core special rules that either get renamed or something gets replaced, but I don't really want to keep adding more core special rules. I think that the core blocks that go in there, which is like rules that almost every army uses, I think we kind of got that down. With new models being available from Games Workshop, what is timeline for getting Grimdark future versions of those models? So we constantly update the rules with new units. So usually like whenever there's like some new cool stuff coming around, we will usually update the rules pretty quickly. In terms of models, I don't know. No, I guess no is the answer. Like they're not coming. I guess we don't have HDF models, so there are no plans to add ordnance batteries to an army that we don't have. What are the current plans for the 6mm versions? Do you plan on releasing any models to it as well? So, yes, it's always nice to talk about this. Well, it's cool to talk about it because it's nice to see people are excited about it. It's a bit of a pain in the sense that it hurts me to always say that it's delayed. So the original version was that last year we were going to release, do like some sort of crowdfunding or maybe an alternate like Patreon or whatever to make the small scale models. Right now, the idea is that we're going to do by crowdfunding. We have 2 armies almost completely ready. But we have decided that instead of launching with one sci-fi army and one fantasy army, we're going to do 2 separate crowdfundings, and they're going to basically be like a starter set kind of situation. So it's going to be like, hey, because I think it makes no sense for us to be like, hey, here's 10mm models. We only have one army available, and maybe in 6 months there's going to be another army, and then it's like, okay, this sucks. Like, I just bought, I don't know, 10mm mummified undead, and I can't play against anyone because nobody else has models that I like, and I want OPR models, for example, right? So the idea is that we're going to have two armies. I think it's going to be mummified undead versus saurians, and then it's going to be, I think it's robot legions versus, oh my, I think it was meant to be robot legions versus alien hives, but I think we are actually, oh god, sorry guys, I have so many things on my plate. Okay, so it's gonna be either robot legions versus alien hives or versus eternal dynasty. That's the idea. So yeah, whenever we have the models ready, we're gonna release them. Well, via a crowdfunding campaign. That's kind of like the idea. And with that, we want to have the rules as well. I've been wanting to work on the rules, but unfortunately, I don't have time. But that's the plan. So making two separate crowdfunding campaigns, one for Age of Fantasy, which comes with two full armies and the rules, and one for Grim Dark Future, which comes with two full armies and the rules. Is there gonna be a cavalry unit for Soul Snatcher Cold? No. Are they meant to? They have bikes, don't they? Not really sure I know enough about this. Will there be any Soul Snatcher Cold models this year? No plans. Are you working on redoing the psychic system? Yes, the spell system is going to be reworked. When it's ready. Will factions from Grim Dark Future, like Orc Marauders and Battle Bros, get their own models? Eventually, yes. Do you plan any special rules for boarding actions or hulks in space? It would be cool to make an expansion that is focused on that, but we don't have any plans for it yet. When can we expect the first look at the faction that will come after Ratman? Okay, we already spoke about this. Any chance? No, okay, we already spoke about this. Okay, this is an interesting question. Do I have time? Okay, I have 10 more minutes. Okay. What is your inspiration behind your miniatures design, and how do you go about developing the style look of your army? So, for those of you that don't know, both Age of Fantasy and Grim Dark Future are actually based on. I know that people are like, oh well, you make models that are used as proxies, so like you're just copying or whatever. You're just trying to base yourself on other people's designs or lore or whatever. But that's actually not the truth. So actually, both Grim Dark Future and Age of Fantasy are based on two original IPs that I had written back in, I don't even know, 2010, and that then I decided to incorporate in to OPR in 2017 when we switched to Patreon. So the inspiration, I guess, starts really there from the lore. So like whatever lore I had created kind of is the first step. So usually the way that an army is developed is I will have a call. So for example, like we're currently working on a new army. Okay. So how does that work? So I usually have a call with our lead concept artist. And I will kind of take them through the lore of the faction and be like, okay, this is their history, this is who they were, this is how they got to where they are. And then based on that lore, I will then usually provide inspiration, like, okay, I think they should have these elements, and maybe I'll provide image references, and I'll be like, okay, I want this thing, I don't want that thing, I want this thing, I don't want the other thing, and whatever. And so I'll basically provide like a bunch of ideas, and then the concept artist, the lead artist, who is a concept artist, whatever. The concept artist basically goes and then kind of creates what we call an army overview, which is basically like a big pool of just ideas, kind of based off of that original story and lore. And basically it starts with like a small pool of ideas, and then we will go like, okay, maybe I don't know, like 10, 15 sketches, and I'll be like, okay, I like this and this and this, and I like this element, and this doesn't work and this works. And then from that, more sketches will be done. And then over the span of like a week, usually, or two, I think usually it's like a week, we will kind of like go through this, and slowly we will develop like a really nice big overview where we kind of take a look at like most of the units of the army. We kind of get like the vibe. We kind of start talking about the symbology of the army. What are the various elements of it? And then once that is done, the next step will basically be to do a sort of like exploration. So once we've decided, okay, this is the new army that we're working on, we're actually going to start doing like an exploration of the various elements. So like, what are their symbols like? What are their assets like? What are their shapes like? What are their, are they, are they religious? Are there any symbols for that? How does their magic work? What kind of creatures do they have? Do they use, I don't know, do they use cups? Do they use barrels? Do they use, if they use weapons, what kind of weapons do they have? What is the design? And we're just kind of like exploring like a bunch of different ideas. And the inspiration comes from everything, truly. It comes from within these ideas, it comes from historical things, it comes from the original lore pitch, it comes from just Google searches, just image searching, big art pools that we make. Yeah, lots of places really. And of course also like from well, so this is interesting. It's like we will usually look at other reference miniatures for two reasons. Either one, we are looking for what we don't want. So we will be like, okay, I don't know. Let's say we're making Ratman, right? We'll say like, okay, we're making Ratman. So let's take a look at our lore, and then let's look at the design of 5 different creators that made Ratman and understand what don't we want. They did this. Okay, let's not do that. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. We want to make sure that what we're doing is original, and we want to make sure that whatever we're doing works with us. And then number 2, we will look at other miniatures to like solve problems. So it's like, I don't know if I don't know. Imagine we need to make a Pegasus, right? A horse with wings. Then what we might do is like, okay, let's take a look at how other people solve this issue in 3D. Like, how does the anatomy work? How do the connections work? How do the feathers work? Whatever. So we will look at inspiration from other miniatures as well, but usually it's for these two reasons: either to see what we shouldn't do, or to kind of understand how problems are solved. Okay, cool. So with this, we have actually answered all the questions from this week's Q&A. I'm going to quickly skim here to see if there are any other questions that people asked, which I missed. Mm, 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 mm. Have you tried playing with factions of other Patreon creators? Not personally, no. Do we have any Battle Brothers concept art? Nope. Any plans on adding more magic options to the game? So part of the whole thing of I said like I want to make like an expanded version of the advanced rulebook thing. One of the things that I want to have in there is like an expanded magic section. Like it would be really cool to have like some pages on like magic items, just like a bunch of cool magic items that you can use. And I think it would also be cool to maybe have some rules for like spells that are like actual physical models that are on the table and that move around and you can do cool things with. I think that could be interesting. How do you find your digital sculptors, and how would someone apply to be one? So we find them on ArtStation usually. Or Instagram. That's usually where we find them. To apply, you can send us an email, info@onepagerules.com. But very important, we are looking for senior sculptors. We have enough, junior and mid-level sculptors. If we're hiring someone new, we're looking for people with a lot of experience right now. Okay, I think there are. Oh, you mentioned incoming changes to Flamers. What can we expect? I'm not. Okay. I think either you can. Okay. What I think would be very cool would be that Flamers go from A6, so 6 attacks, to be A1, blast 3, and then have some sort of like hits on 2+ rules. So the idea would be like, one of the problems that we have with Flamers is that you roll a ton of dice. And why do you roll a ton of dice? Because the idea is like, well, if you have a faction with low quality or with bad quality, then by rolling a lot of dice, you're still going to get some hits in. So in a way, it's like, it kind of feels good even for like low quality armies. But here the idea would basically to be like, okay, let's 6 attacks is a lot. For one model, for a T1 model, to have A6 is a lot. So we want to reduce that. So the idea would be to reduce that to 3 attacks. But even 3 attacks, so the idea is to reduce to 1 blast 3 attacks, so that then like it can't be used against tanks. But to make sure that like low quality troops can use it, it would be like always hitting on 2 ups. That's kind of like the idea. Okay, I think these are all the questions. Oh, okay, one final question I see. What are the rules about making additional modules for OPR? Like rules that's made by the community and released to the community. As long, I like I always say, as long as you're not sharing any paid content, and as long as you're not selling content based off OPR content, for me, it's fine. Like if you want to write like a cool little expansion and release it for free to the community, and it doesn't include any, because I've seen actually someone that once did something like that where like they just took a bunch of like rules from our advanced rules section and then they created like their own expansion and they said, oh, here it is, and they were releasing it for free, and it was like, well, no, you can't just take our like our paid content and then repackage it as like your own thing and then sell it. Or well, give it out for free. That's not right. Okay, people, we are here at the end, so very nice for all of you to stick around. Oh, we still have over 80 people here. That's very cool. So before I bail, so post your Q&A questions here. All right, I'm going to sticky this to pin this message. And yeah. Okay, so yeah, if you want to ask questions for the next stream, I've posted the link. Put your questions there. This link is going to be active until well, basically until like the day of the next stream, which is going to be on the 30th of March. And yeah, if you have questions, go post them there. Let me see. Yes, go post them there. The link is going to be up. I see that there's still some questions. Screw it. Whilst I'm here, it's a hangout, right? Let me talk to you guys. So, would A1 Blast 3 give more swingy results? Well, in a sense, yes. But with the idea that they would hit on 2 ups, so on 2 plus, it would actually be less swingy, right? Because, well, you would hit most of the time, really. Yeah, and it would ignore cover, so that would actually be interesting. For example, we are building campaign expansions on Discord that is picking up quite a few players. Yeah, if you're making a campaign expansion, as long as it's not including paid content for free, feel free to make your own campaign expansion. Put your own lore and stuff like that. Do something cool. I think, especially like once the full lore is going to be out, I think it's going to be even cooler because you're going to be able to take, because like I said, like the whole way that we're building this universe and the lore is that it's meant to be an open setting for you to do your thing in. So I think it's going to be very cool once that is out, that then you can probably going to have to adapt your campaign a little bit, but you can then adapt the campaign lore to actually be canon and fit within the official lore of OPR, which I think is very cool. Okay, cool. All right, guys, I'm gonna bail. Very nice to do a stream every month. It's time flies. It's already been 2 hours. Yeah, if you have any questions, post them in the thing. I'll probably be on Discord for a bit more longer. Maybe, I'm not sure. Whatever. If I see you on Discord, I'll see you on Discord. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you next stream. Bye bye.